Hey guys, with Pennsylvania going green and many businesses starting to slowly start back up, I know the question on your mind has to be the same one that's on my mind. When are we going to get back to church? Well, I'll let you know that Consistory has been watching things, and we have met several times to talk about what reopening is going to look like and kind of what our time frame should be. And since it has worked so well for Pennsylvania, we decided to come up with a color chart to let you know about Trinity's different stages of reopening. And there are 10 different colors. We've got red, yellow, green, black, white, fuchsia, hot pink, fluorescent orange, plaid, and burnt sienna. And during each one of these phases, we have a different list of what you can and cannot do. And I'm just kidding because the color system is stupid. I'm sorry to say that, but it's especially dumb whenever you choose the colors of a stoplight. However, when you get to green, it doesn't mean go. So you will notice that there are many churches who are starting or have started back up. And those who are starting are attempting to follow the CDC guidelines to keep their members safe. What do those guidelines look like? Well, they must wear masks. Bathrooms are closed during services because they'd be hard to sanitize. There is no singing, and people must sit a minimum of 6 feet away from each family group. And many churches, especially those with larger buildings and smaller congregations, they are able to follow these guidelines. That becomes tough, however, for us for multiple reasons. I mean, first, think about it. We have a small church building, but we are filled with a lot of members, awesome, passionate members. Almost every Sunday, there is not an empty pew. If there is, it's a rare occasion. Each pew usually has a few, if not many more than that, people in it. To meet the minimum requirement of 6 feet apart, we'd have to leave 2 pews empty in between family groups. Logistically, this would mean that we would have to have 3, if not 4 services. We would have to do some sort of reservation system to make sure that we are spread out evenly in number across those different services. And during those services, what would they look like? Well, we'd have to wear masks, and we wouldn't be allowed to sing because singing, especially boisterous singing, has the potential to spread the virus further than 6 feet. So here is the dilemma that we find ourselves in. If we wait to open until we meet the CDC guidelines, we won't be back in church for months, if not longer, to be honest with you. And that makes it a pretty tough decision for us to make. I want to be back in church. I do. You know that. I love it. I absolutely love it. But I don't want to be back in church if we're split into these tiny little groups with no interaction and no singing and struggling to make it through a service because we're wearing these awful masks. To me, that's not really going back to church. We can do that same thing in the comfort of our own homes and be much more safe. But I want to be here. So does everybody else. So this is where we've landed right now. After much prayerful consideration, this is what we see and what we find. If you look up the number of infections that are in Clarion Armstrong in Butler County, the number of those infections have dropped near zero, especially in Armstrong and Clarion counties, which is where most of our members are made up of. So the chance of somebody in this church having it and bringing it to church is pretty close to zero, especially since we're filled with intelligent people who don't take unnecessary risks. So as long as those numbers stay low, beginning on June the 28th, we would start meeting together for one service at our normal time. And we say one service because we know we're not going to be able to meet the CDC guidelines no matter what. So if we're going to have to break them in some way, We would rather break them altogether. But at the same time, we're going to take precautions that make sense for our particular congregation. For example, everyone will use hand sanitizer when they enter the building. They will be asked to not have physical contact. No hugs, no high fives, no nothing like that for the time being. You can wear a mask if it makes you feel more comfortable, but it won't be mandatory since many people just physically cannot do it. And since we won't be wearing masks, we will do a couple of things. First of all, there will not be singing. There will be some special music in the beginning, and if we eventually get to singing, it's going to be more reflective, more quiet songs, so that we're not exhaling large breaths with the potential of spreading it. We're going to have a shortened service. That shortened service is only going to consist of special music, a children's sermon, and a regular sermon. There will be no bulletins handed out. There will be no offering plates passed around. Those will be in the back as we attempt to limit what people are touching. There won't be any singing. I've already told you that. And since preschools and daycares are permitted to meet, we do feel comfortable inviting the kids to come up front for a children's sermon, and then they will be able to go downstairs for children's church if their parents allow. And we will limit contact as much as possible while downstairs. Everything will be cleaned. Everything will be sanitized. They won't be passing around Play-Doh or snacks or anything like that. We will try to keep the environment as safe as we can. So I'm asking, since things are so hard to find right now, we're asking for donations of hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes if you manage to find them during any of your outing in any of these stores. If there is an increase in our area of the virus, we will immediately fall back onto our online services. And listen, as the nation begins to experience pandemic fatigue, which I know you're feeling because I'm feeling it, when we experience that fatigue, we stop being as careful. And because of that, there is a definite possibility that we may have to cancel or postpone services. As of today alone, 12 states have recorded a dramatic increase in the number of people being hospitalized, and that number is believed to be tied directly to Memorial Day celebrations and preparations. And there is a good chance that there's going to be another rise seen as the direct result of the large amount of protesters that have gathered together. Listen, guys, we all want to be back in church. But we don't want to be back just for the sake of being back. We want to be back and really be back. And let me tell you, while we're doing this online format, it's important for you to know that God is blessing it. Our services are being watched, are being viewed nearly 100 times every week. And if you take an average of 3 per household, that means that there are near 300 people worshiping with us on a weekly basis. On special Sundays like the Easter Sunday and the Sunday where I opened up about the difficulties of my dad's death, we received over 250 views, which equates to 750 people all around, not just this area, but much further, worshiping with us through our services. God is blessing us, and He is blessing others through us. And that is important for us to remember during those moments where it is so frustrating not being together. So I hope to see you in person on the 28th. But if that falls through, please keep worshiping with us together in spirit as we continue to impact and change lives for God's kingdom. I'm going to go ahead and put a list of all these things that I've talked about just in case the words didn't come across clearly or you missed anything or you want to read back through them. Go to our website to check it out. That is www.trinitybradysbend.com. God bless you, and I truly do hope to see you soon. Take care.